Hello, everybody. Wednesday, 17th of August 2022. It's wonderful to be here with this amazing team here. Our dear Elsa is not with us. She's traveling, so I hope she's okay. And uh, today we will have a special guest, as you can see, our dear friend Munir Gariba. Munir, welcome to
Thank you.
our show. I hope you break the leg today. And I want you to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your availability to be here with us. And let's introduce ourselves. So, Munir, if you could start, please. It's your turn.
Obrigado, Stevan. Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, dependendo de onde você se encontra aqui nesse nosso lindo planeta. É um prazer estar aqui, ainda mais desfrutar desses momentos com todos que estão aqui no estúdio comigo, assim como aqueles que estão nos assistindo. It is a great pleasure to be here. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. It's a great pleasure to be here sharing the studio with our dear friends and with those watching us.
Thank you. Mr. Kempf.
Bonjour Stevan, bonsoir à tous. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous aujourd'hui pour écouter notre frère Mounir nous parler des missions et des occupations des esprits. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Very happy to be here again with you, particularly today to listen to our brother Mounir talking about the activities of the spirits.
Yes, Miss Gibbons.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Nice to be here again. Seems to be so quick from one week to the next. And it's a special day today, having Munir again with us and talking a very important subject about the spirits and the world that they live and how they are, which is very important thing for us to learn. And I hope that, I'm sure we're going to have a very good meeting and asking the blessings of God to be upon us and success.
Thank you. And from after a long holidays, she's back. Our dear friend Nadja. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Miss you all. Nice to see you all together here. And yes, labas vakaras, laba diena, labas rytas. Šiandien mūsų tema yra dvasių užsiėmimai ir misijos. Ką daro dvasios dvasiniame pasaulyje. Ką veikia, ar turi darbą, arba ką darys dvasios, arba kaip yra mūsų gyvenimas po mirties. Tikiuosi, kad jums bus naudinga, įdomu ir tai yra labai svarbi informacija. Žinoti, ką daro dvasios dvasiniame pasaulyje. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So, as everybody was telling before, we are going to talk about what the spirits do when they are in the spiritual world. I'm sure you're going to be very surprised. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Great. So, Beatriz Gilles, good evening, my dear. Thank you for being here with us today. Our friend Guilherme Dias, Oliveira Kruker, and our dear Elsa, who is listening to us. So let me put my screen here, and I will play the video.
All of us, the spirits, are God's creations, and we had exactly the same beginning. We were created simple and ignorant. Some of us were created more recently, others started their journey countless millennia ago. Spirits are of different orders, according to their individual degree of self-purification. These degrees are unlimited because there is no line of demarcation that acts as a barrier between each order. For demonstration purposes, however, if we consider their general characteristics, we can reduce them to 3 main orders and some subdivisions. In the third order are those who are toward the bottom of the scale, the imperfect spirits. These are characterized by ignorance, pride, selfishness, and all the evil passions that delay their advancement. They have an intuition of God, but they do not comprehend God. Not all are essentially evil, however. Some are more frivolous, thoughtless, and malicious than downright wicked. Some do neither good nor evil, but the simple fact that they do no good reveals them to be imperfect. Their knowledge about the things of the spirit world is limited, and the little they do know is confused with the ideas and prejudices of corporeal life. In the second are those who have reached the middle of the scale. Their main concern is the desire to do the good. Some possess scientific knowledge, while others display wisdom and benevolence. The more highly evolved ones combine knowledge with moral qualities. As spirits, they encourage good thoughts in people and dissuade them from the path of evil. They also watch over the lives of those who have made themselves worthy, and they neutralize the influence of imperfect spirits on those who do not yield to them. When incarnate, they are good and benevolent toward others. They do good for its own sake, and they neither allow themselves to be led by pride, selfishness, or ambition, nor do they display hatred, bitterness, envy, or jealousy. In the first order, we may put those who have already reached perfection, the pure spirits. These spirits have ascended through all the degrees of the hierarchy and have freed themselves from all the impurities of matter. Having reached the highest perfection possible for created beings, they have no more trials or expiations to endure. Moreover, because they are no longer subject to reincarnation in perishable bodies, they live eternally in the bosom of God. But such bliss is not a monotonous idleness lived in perpetual contemplation. They are the messengers and ministers of God, whose orders they carry out to maintain universal harmony. They assist humans in their distress and inspire them to do good or to expiate the wrongs that keep them from supreme bliss. For more studies and research material, go to www.spiritistacademy.com.
Okay, so this is a good video. Thank you, Nadja, for your search today. Thank you for our friends from Spiritist Academy. And today, as we said here, the main topic is occupations and missions of the spirits. And our friend Munir will give us his viewpoint about this very important topic. So Munir, it's you, and after Munir introduction, we will have a questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please write in the comment box. So thank you, Munir. It's yours.
Thank you, Stevan. And as I said before, it's a pleasure to be here, and especially talking about this important chapter of the Spirits book. There is a whole chapter about the occupation and missions of the spirits, And this chapter is chapter 10, part 2. There are nearly 30 questions organized by Kardec in a very nice way to talk about these aspects. And very nice video also, because it gives us, background that we need to understand. Kardec, when he organized the chapter, the questions and the answers regarding these subjects, they were prepared in such a way to give us an idea of the general situation of spirits. But as we've just seen in the video, there are 3 orders, and within each order there are so many classes. And this is a natural, slow transition from one class to another, and then from one order to the next one. So we have from imperfect to pure spirits. And when we develop our divine nature, all of us, like, when we have the acorn, we can say that we already have the oak tree, an old oak tree to be. So everything is there to be developed. So we have within ourselves the divine elements for us to grow, to develop, to progress. And we usually say we progress in 2 aspects: intellectual one, intelligence, and also the moral one. These 2 aspects will evolve. Sometimes one develops more than the other, and the other more than the one. And sometimes, one is too far ahead of the other. So we have different circumstances. So when talking about the occupations and mission of spirits, although the spirits, they answered in a sort of broader, general way, we have to take into consideration the level of development of each one of us. And also it's important to consider that the spirits here, they are talking about errant spirits in the spirit world, but also we here, because we as the spirits, we have occupations, not only here, but in the spirit world, and also missions. And some spirits, they have missions in the spirit world, as we're going to discuss, and also they have missions here on earth for the development of the material world. And what we see, and it's very important here to emphasize, is that the spirit is the intelligence in the universe. And intelligence is the machinery that moves matter in all its forms, from dense matter to subtle matter. It's the intelligence, and it's development that keeps the universe in movement, of course, obeying God's laws. And all the occupations, all the missions that we have, they are always in accordance to our level. We can always take simple examples from our daily life. For instance, we will see that within a company, we have from the manual workers, we call blue collars, up to the CEO of the company. And we have different jobs within these 2. And we may start at the very bottom and one day become the CEO, perhaps not in a company here on the material world, but certainly in the universe. So one important aspect to learn is whatever the situation we find ourselves nowadays in terms of occupations or even in terms of mission, we can't say that is going to be forever, because we are moving, we are developing. And the interesting thing, when we look at pure spirits, they are pure because they have completely unfolded all the divine elements that they bring within themselves. And to be pure, that means they know and have experienced everything in the creation, so they can understand God, fully understand God. We even say they can talk directly and receive direct orders from God, and make the orders, spread the orders to the whole of the creation. And those spirits, so they have gone through all experiences. They have learned all that had to be learned. That's why they are pure spirits. It's not that they went one way, specialized in something, and I'm a pure spirit specialized in this, and I'm a pure spirit specialized in that. So when we read the questions and of course the answers, what we see is that the spirits are doing all sorts of of work within the universe. From the simple ones, sometimes not even being aware of the work they are doing, but they are doing. We are co-workers, regardless of the level of our awareness. Some primitive, we would say, spirits who have just been created in their first incarnations, they work through instincts, but they were working for a higher purpose. And that higher purpose they may not be aware of, but they are fulfilling their part in the creation. And as we develop our intelligence, as we develop our moral side, then we start to gain conscience. And as it's been said so many times, from the atom to the archangel, everything is movement, and is movement related to intelligence, the intelligent principle, the spiritual principle, which is our spiritual essence. And it is then acting in this universe, acting in different planets, in the spiritual world, here in the physical world, that we gain experience and gain knowledge. So the spirits, they will basically do all sorts of duties. So can I do all sorts of duties today? No. Duties according to the level that I find myself right now that are important for me to evolve a bit further. And of course, being aware that if I take something that is beyond my capabilities, I may fail. And if I fail, then I may do something that I have to make the amendments later to put them in order. I made a mess because I wasn't aware of certain things. I had no experiences on that. And then I have to do that. And also it becomes like a punishment, not a punishment that has been imposed on me, but it's a punishment because I could be further ahead. And then I had to clean the mess and then do it again in the proper way. And now knowing that, because we also learn through our failures as well, knowing that I had to, be more careful, put more effort in whatever I'm going to do. So we see basically that there are occupations, even pure spirits, as I said before, pure spirits, they receive direct orders from God. They are not there sitting on a cloud playing the harp for eternity. God would be tired. Can you imagine the spirit playing the harp for eternity? One day God would say, enough, I've had enough of your harp and whatever. Just go and do something. And so they are actually the ones receiving direct orders from God and overlooking the creation, making sure that the orders that come from God, we reach all corners of the creation. And we, of course, we work on that. Slowly we become more and more aware, more and more prepared for higher level tasks. The tasks that the spirits have, the occupation that the spirits have, as incarnate spirits or in the spiritual world, they start from a sort of very material level, working more on a material level. And then we begin to work on an intellectual level. And finally, we start to work on a moral level. So missions of high evolved spirits, they are more related to moral aspects. Then we can take the example of Jesus. Jesus didn't come here to build anything, but to give us moral example. He gave us the way for us to develop ourselves, morally speaking, more than intellectually speaking, because he could teach us so many things. Whatever we've learned through the centuries, through the millennia, with the scientists that came here on this planet, Jesus could certainly have taught us, because he's a pure spirit. He knows everything regarding the universe, material or not. And so he could, but the important thing is he came to bring to us the moral lessons, not through lectures, but through his example. So we see, he is the purest example we can have here on this planet. So I just try to give a general overview, because there are some special aspects of each one of these occupations that the spirits can have, or the missions that the spirits can have also. And just one final thing is, when we talk about missions, we usually say missions regarding a highly evolved spirits, for instance, like Jesus. Jesus had a mission to come to this planet and give us a moral standard, show us the moral standard that we had never seen before, and that will stay with us, guiding us through eternity. And but also missions, sometimes they take up a different aspect, which is a limited work that we have to do within a small community, where with our family and so on. So we can take up these two different aspects, something that is more for the benefit of the whole planet or a nation or whatever, but sometimes it can also be something related to a small group. That's what I had to say, just to kick off the the spiritual light today.
Thank you, my friend. Wise words. We needed to watch our thoughts, to watch ourselves, as I think is the Pope Tarso says, we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Silvia, you know better than me. So I just want to say to everyone, so if you want to make any questions, please feel free to ask any questions to Munir, and I will start first. Let's say Nadja would like to. You are on holiday, so you are fresh. Let put her to work.
Yeah. This chapter is very interesting, because I remember when I read the first time, and then I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense, when you think you're going to heaven, of course, I'm trying to be a good person, so I'm going to heaven, and I will be doing nothing there. No, it doesn't make sense, because then you get bored of doing nothing. So I think, as I mentioned before in other lives, I like very much the André Luiz series of book, psychographic by Chico Xavier, and in those books you can know so much about the spiritual world that it's just fascinating. It's fascinating. It's very interesting, and then you can see when he can explain the life in the spiritual world. So I do recommend to all of you to read the series one by one, because especially from No Solar on, but then it's a clear image of the clear image of the universal world, because we talk about life after death, but what really is the life after death? What happens when we die? So all the process, okay, but then what's going on after that? Do I have to work, or do I gonna be just gardening? Am I gonna be around talking to my parents in my side by my family all the time? Or I think I'm gonna work a lot and I do want to work a lot. But as Munir mentioned before, and also the video showed, that we have levels. So we have more evolved spirits, less evolved spirits. So my question is, do less evolved spirits also perform a useful role in the universe, or are they just there annoying the others, obsiding, being like an obsessor I'm sorry, I don't know this word in English, but the verb, but are they obsessors all the time, or what do they do, in the spiritual world when they are less evolved, until all the steps they have to go through? Thank you very much.
Yes. It's very interesting, Nadja, that you mentioned André Luis's books. And what we see there are very special situations that spirits and some other spirits, they found themselves. And what's important to say is that for everyone, there is an occupation. There is something that needs to be done. This is evolution. When we say we evolve, this is a constant process of evolution. The problem is we come from an idea that when we die, we either go to heaven and go to hell, never return here. So, it's very, I would say, a very cut and dry situation. I go to hell, it's forever, or I go to heaven, it's forever. In heaven, everyone looks very much the same. I may not even recognize other people that were very dear to me, things like that. But with the spiritism, what we see is that no, the whole universe, material, densely speaking, or material in the terms of subtle matter, it is constantly evolving, and we are the ones responsible for this evolution. Of course, guided by God directly through the pure spirits, and the orders and the importance of our duties. They, of course, they are lower and lower in the scale. And just to remind us all, most of us here on earth, we are from the third order of spirits. Few perhaps are already on the second order, and even less on the first order here on the planet, on the physical side at this moment. So we have still to work really hard. But everyone has duties to fulfill. And of course, they are always compatible to the level that we are. And sometimes it's interesting that you mentioned these books. What I was going to say about André Luis's books is that we see that sometimes there is a situation that apparently God allows so many evil things to happen. But when we see behind the scenes after a while, we see that all that is actually working towards a better situation. The thing is, we can't just come to a spirit that is still very backward, still doing a lot of evil, and say, you're doing evil, you stop, and we lock them in a cage or something like that. No. But whatever they are doing that is compatible to the level, there is always something else behind, much greater, that is making use of that. We see so many situations like that in life. We see sometimes a flower coming out of the swamp, and then you say, a swamp, oh, so such a terrible place, nothing nice can come out of that. No, it isn't that way. And we should remember that whatever the level that spirit, aware of that or not, is doing something in order to fulfill certain duties. And it's interesting that, we find some of these situations within André Luis's books, where you see that a situation after a while is sorted out, and it was for the benefit of a greater community. And sometimes the benefit for greater communities, what's the benefit of a war? For us to learn how to avoid a war and see the consequences of the evil that is done. But the level that we are, it is still necessary. It's necessary for us to be fed up with that and say, never again, never again. I'll exhaust any other solution, diplomatic, whatever, but not a war. Because sometimes we have this false idea, no, we can start a war and do and win and sort it out. And no, there isn't such a thing. And just as a simple example to show how we can benefit from sometimes, a situation that seems to be, or we can see actually what is the benefit of this. The benefit is actually to awaken us for, different ways of doing things, morally evolved and intellectually evolved. But the answer is yes. Everyone, good spirits, pure spirits, low-level spirits, we all have duties to fulfill.
I think when I listened to you and when I was thinking about it, it's also our job as incarnated spirits as well, because we start from, from, for example, cleaning an office, and then you start studying and learning and developing, and then from one job to another, and then you start being the manager, then you start being the CEO. You go up and up and up. And morally as well, as you mentioned, the war, like how many people change their minds and decide to help others and have people in their homes, people they don't know, and being more compassionate, more and humble and helpful, and then these people were also who were always like thinking about themselves. Then they had the war happens or a pandemic happened, and then they say, okay, I'm not gonna just think about myself. I'm gonna help the other. I'm gonna give food for those who don't have a job anymore after the pandemic. So, for example, so then they also from lower level, we jumped one step in this progress. Yeah, it's very
There's no magic wands. I mean, we are who we are. We'll carry on being who we
No,
are in the spiritual world.
I thought we have a magical wand.
No, we have to
And
work our progress slowly.
yeah, and our friend Robbie Brown, he's saying, Totem Life has a wonderful chapter on our duty on how it corresponds to self-development. Thank you, Robbie, for your contribution. Thank you. So, who's gonna go now? France or England? Let me
Ladies
see.
first.
Ladies first, England.
I thought France should go first, but I think this subject it's very very important. Like Munir mentioned, most of us come from a philosophy that you die, you either stop existing altogether, there is nothing left, or you, for punishment, you go to an eternal hell where there is fire and consummation that is never really consumed, or you go to heaven and you become so completely idle. And I think, if we stop to think about it, there's both, whatever is not really acceptable. And that's why Spiritism is so important, because it gives explanation to things that for millennia, mankind has been asking questions that we've been asking about God. What is God, and what is the purpose of life? And I think most especially when we go through very difficult times, and it's when we really question God. And it's interesting that sometimes when we need God the most is when we turn our backs on him, or on, just going to use him, but could be anything, because God's an intelligence. I just want to explain this. We lose our faith when we need it the most. And I think this chapter in the Spirit's book, which I think starts on question, is chapter 2nd, and it starts on question 76 and goes to 131, which is really, really interesting, because it talks about, as Munir said, not only of the spirits in the spiritual world, which is the first world, the real world, and the material world where we live. So we as incarnate, we continue to be spirits, but on a physical body, in a denser physical body, because we still have a physical body once we are in the spiritual world, in a different type. And there are so many divisions, there are classifications within this chapter of the first class of spirit, the second class of spirit, the third class. Munir said, we are in the third class. Yes, we are, but one day, each and every one of us will be in the first one. There is no going back. There is no stopping forever. We may stay still for quite a while, but there is only one way. is way to light, which we are. And I think one of the things that sometimes we forget that we are light. We are we have, like the light of God within us, that we are inheritors of this universe that we live in, and that we can do anything we put our minds to, and to work. And because I think the only way to move from one side to another, from one level to another, is through our work, is through the effort we make to learn, to do good. And I think when it also mentioned the question of Jesus, because Jesus is a pure spirit, is the highest level that you can achieve, is the ones that are in connection with God and have his understanding. And because we learn things intellectually, we can become great intellectuals. And within this classification, there are spirits who great intellect, but they haven't learned basic things of moral, of loving, or charity, or caring. Maybe they dedicated themselves so much to the intellect, they forgot the other part. And I think there's something you say, like you have two wings to fly and you need both. And on the other hand, there are people who are extremely kind, extremely good, pure goodness itself, but they lack that intellectual level. So I think in everything, really, we are moving, we are evolving, we are growing. There is forever an enlightenment. We never stayed the same. Every effort that we make, every single thing that we do, from the simplest thing to the highest thing that we can achieve, is a step forward towards our enlightenment, towards reaching a pathway to spiritual perfection and to be a pure spirit. And there are so many classifications. The eye spirits are completely idle, pure ignorance, really. I just don't do anything. And it's interesting because we talk about the spiritual world, but if we look around us, even, I find myself sometimes, I'm completely idle when I should be doing so much because I'm busy, I have to do this, and I know, and I just sit and watch the telly for an hour or something, and we, sometimes it's ignorance, or you don't care, or whatever it is. But we have to make the effort to do it. And there is no, the spiritual benefactors, the pure spirits, I think Moni mentioned something about it as well. They work very hard. And we know that the higher level the spirit reach, the harder they work. And they never, ever abandon us. They are always forever helping us. And we saw in the little film how this good spirit comes and holds back from that person being influenced by negative thoughts. So if we open ourselves to their inspiration, we'll be able to do quite a lot. And because they are forever there helping us, giving us incentive, but the work is our own. I think that's very important for us. And that's one thing that we learn in Spiritism that for me, it weighs such a lot, because God gives us free will to choose. And the effort that we make, we are helped, we are supported, we are helped by spirits, we are helped by our friends around us, for those who come and give us incentive, by a book that we pick up and read, by a message. We always have the support, but the path, the work is our own. Because when we achieve the point of being a pure spirit and we look back, we see that it was our own effort that brought us there. And this is one of the things that we learn in Spiritism, and that's why this chapter in the Spirits book is so important. And I just reading this again, I said, oh my God, I haven't thought about that for a while, but this is so good. I really need to learn it. And I think this is so precious. The fact that our effort is what moves us, is what develops us, and is what eventually will achieve us. And I think being able to do this work for ourselves gives us empathy to the difficulty of others, because nothing comes easy, nothing that's precious comes easy. And having to make the effort to learn how to forgive someone, to learn how to let go when someone's being very unkind or, dismissive of you, or when we find a difficulty in learning a new subject or something different that we want, and we really have to stop and think. And this helps us to understand the difficulties that other people have. And I find sometimes intellectual things come quite easily, but the difficulty is like, be quiet when someone is saying something that you don't agree with, and really respecting them. That's how they feel, because that's how it is. And to learn how to forgive and to let go and to understand, those are quite difficult things, but it's our own effort, and is that what we do. And I think that's one of the gifts of God to his children, that our own work is what lead us to perfection. I think I talked too much. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's it. Also, just one thing here, Nadja. Nadja was talking about the books of André Luiz and things. There is a website which I can pass on to you. It's called the Xaverian. I can pass it to you, something to do, and it's a collection of all the books of André Luiz, all the books that was psychographed by Chico Xavier, and mostly they've made this collection from the original books. So all the changes that have been made after, and have all the books of Kardec as well. And they made this work from original books that people had. So it's very important. If anybody, I can, give you this website for you to go and look for if you want to know more about Kardec.
Is it English or Portuguese?
It's in Portuguese, I'm afraid. It's in Portuguese, but maybe one day we will translate something, and
But the books are I think all the books of André Luiz are already in English, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, I think one of the important things of the Xaverian, the site, is that the books, everything they pass into electronic media, it's from the original books, the first publication. So we miss quite a lot of but I send it to you. It's Xaverian thing. Anyway, thanks. I'll look up and I'll send it to you.
I would like just to make a comment. Just picking up from what Silvia said. Silvia, unfortunately, most of us, we think in a selfish way. We think that as we evolve, we take care of ourselves more and more, and we forget the others. And it's the other way around. We can take up the example of a company, for instance. The guy who is there on the factory floor, he's responsible for operating a machine. But when he becomes the supervisor of that sector, he's responsible for all the workers within that. And then you go up to the CEO, and the CEO, he is responsible for the whole of the company, overlooking the work of the whole of the company. So the higher we are in the spirit hierarchy, the more important is the work that we are going to do, because it involves a great number of spirits of people.
Good. Okay. So, can we go to France and eat some croissant, a nice brie, some grapes?
Sure, let's go. Okay, I liked all the explanation and remarks and questions done by Munir and Nadja and Silvia. And basically, we understand that there is a natural law which is working, always doing something. I understand also that some spirits can be idle or willing to do nothing, but they get sooner or later bored with that. They see that they do not progress while the others are progressing. And voila. So even in the spiritual world, nothing of paradise where you are doing nothing the whole day, only contemplation and whatsoever, or hell, which is the same, where you are burning and suffering, and then you can do nothing either. So it gives another image with the spiritist body of knowledge about on all these aspects. But I have a little question, Munir. When we are here incarnated, in the incarnated state, I don't tell this because here it's already 11 o'clock p.m., but there is a time where we need to stop, to rest, and so on. Of course, we understand that it is, how to say, our spirit get free of the body and continues working during the natural sleep in the spiritual world somehow. But my question is there an equivalent of the sleep that we have when we are incarnated in the spiritual world? Are there moments where the spirit is also resting, or where he is in conditions where he cannot work, for instance, in deep trouble? What is the status in those cases? Are there periods where even the spiritual activity of the spirit is interrupted?
Yes, Charles. First thing is that the physical body has needs that the spirits in general, they don't. The physical body. When Silvia was concerned of some time that she spends in front of TV, I think it's important for the body to switch off and relax for a bit. The problem is when you start to do it most of the time, and then it becomes we need rest. The physical body needs the rest. The spirit doesn't need the rest. But sometimes what some spirits, I would say, evolved spirits, pure spirits, they are working all the time, especially because the kind of work that they do is more mentally. I mean, they are very happy to do that. And there isn't the need, they don't have the needs of a physical body. But spirits who are in the spiritual world of a lower rank, they still have some problems to be sorted out. What we see, for instance, is spirits who get to the spirit world in a state of, how to say, they are perturbed and they have things that they regret and they are sort of depressed. They need some time to rest, but not to rest physically. The rest they need is to mentally organize themselves, to learn, and then slowly they regain this engagement into activities. I don't know if that is the question that Charles asked.
Yes. And maybe just building on, there is another example. We talked a little bit about Jesus, who came on earth also for a mission. This is a spirit which is incarnated and worked during the incarnation. But there is a period where he simply left and stayed isolated in the desert. So what does this attitude correspond to? Is it a need of resourcing or getting new energies or meditating? What is the purpose of going to the desert for, I don't remember, I think it was 1 month or something like that.
Yes, this is the need. We hear also of the spirits in the spiritual world where they need actually to disengage themselves from hard tasks that they have in order to, connect themselves to higher spheres. I think in the case of Jesus, every now and then Jesus was isolating himself actually to be more in connection with, God directly, or, those spirits who were together with him in this mission. And I think it is important for us to organize ourselves to, get connection with the higher spheres, and even enjoy, the good, I wouldn't say vibrations, but the good inspiration that we get from higher levels, higher spheres. I can't remember exactly in which book the spirit was engaged for a long time in a serious case. I can't remember if it was obsession or something. he was a sort of uh, perhaps second order spirit, or perhaps even a class close to second order, but within the third order. But that spirit every now and then had these moments to connect to higher spheres instead of just being there, re-energizing himself or herself. So in order to carry on with the task that sometimes requires a lot from them, just be dedicating their time to help with a certain difficult problem, obsession, or sometimes a problem that involves a group, collective group.
Yes, I think this is very important, because it's not rest like we do, isn't it? I remember this book, and I remember the book of Andrea Luiz, The Spirits Went into a Church, because they were in Europe during the war. And they were working here, and all the need, all the despair that was happening, everyone calling and for help, for assistance, and the suffering, sometimes that can be quite weigh very hard on them. And they went into this church, and I think he talks about being in Bristol, that they were there and everything was dark, and because of the thoughts of the people who are going, they're being bombarded, so people were afraid. But in the distance they saw this light, and they saw a church, and people were in the church hiding, but they were all praying, and this light of their prayers were lifting up to the sky, and the spirits were able to go there and to rest for a bit, being that place of prayer and everything. So, and as for Jesus, when you read the Gospels, Jesus at every turn, he goes off by himself to pray. He walks on the water, and he's always doing that. And I think for a spirit of his caliber that could feel everything that someone felt, could hear their thoughts, could feel their suffering, must have been extremely, feel their need, must be very hard. So every now and then he had to go and pray and to just reconnect, and so he could be again. And I think, we need physical rest, we need to sleep, but I think it's much more than just sleep, to rest the body, which resting the body is very, very important. But I think that we also need that spiritual connection with the spiritual world, because I've read places where experiments were made of people who actually slept 8 hours, but every time they started to dream, they would wake them up. And, after a week, most people couldn't bear it anymore. They had to have that dream. And we know that is when we're dreaming, sometimes we are connecting to our spiritual friends and everything. So I think even though we need the rest for our bodies, we also need that connection with the spirit. So for a spirit who's doing some kind of heavy work and helping a lot of people and everything, they will need that much more, that moment of connection to the source, to God. That's how I feel anyway. So
Yeah. So let's see. Let me see if I have any questions here. So no, there is no other questions. So Munir, if you want to wrap up. Meanwhile, if some question pop up here, I can give to you, but feel free to pop up.
And Stevan, it is Paul who said that we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, because the spirits are around us and they know what they do.
Yeah. And by the way, our friend Faye, she will put you in an awkward position now. Let's see if she's gonna ask you a very tough question. I'm joking, Faye, please. I'm not sure if we've already said that, but the question is, would it be beneficial for a spirit to consciously put themselves to work or study during the time that the body sleeps?
We already do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Faye, forgive me, Faye. I just want to. I thought you were going to ask a hard question to Munir, and he needs to go to many books to answer. That's it. Just please.
Yes, of course. Yes, it is. I mean, to make good use, because as I said before, we are here in a physical body, but we are spirits. And we may have some of us, I wouldn't say everyone, we can't generalize, but some of us may carry on some tasks that we already had in the spiritual world because we have 6 to 8 hours every night, and we could spend some of these hours, doing something that we used to do. But not everyone. Some of us, we are still so much materialized, attached to the physical world that we may go to the common places. If I like clubbing, I may go to a nightclub while I'm sleeping. My spirit just goes there because I enjoy that. I'm too attached to that. But I would say, it would be wonderful if we could make very good use of our time during sleep, doing something useful in the spiritual world, carry on a task that we already had, starting one, taking some lessons, classes, and
But we do, don't we, Munir? I mean, we do.
not everyone, Sylvia,
No, not
yeah,
no, of course, not everyone. But
yeah,
what she's saying, to put it to study, many spirits we know that to work during
yes,
the night with the spiritual benefactor, they join spiritual benefactor to do certain work. They go to classes. I mean, we read that Andre Louise very clearly so many times that we go to course. But it, as you said, it depends on the people. If they like clubbing, they go clubbing. I remember this passage in the book that people were in this place where they were looking for gold, and everybody was working harder during the night where their body was looking for gold. And so we go, our spirit will go where we like to do. So some of
yeah,
us will go to courses and study, some will go to work helping the spiritual benefactor, and some will just stay in the body resting.
yeah. And sometimes we may even spend, the whole night next to our physical body because we are so, how would I say, enclosed in a problem, something that is there, that we spend the night just, isolated in just thinking about the problem. And then when we see, the night is over, time to wake up, and the spirit spent basically the whole time just thinking about something, or
Yeah.
instead of doing something, or it was just there, like sitting and just thinking about a particular problem. And
And we need
time
to
went by.
be we need to be aware, because people think it's just do a prayer before going to bed. Your spirit will go to nice places. The spirit will go to stud, But it's not just the night prayer. It's your moral conduct. It's how you behave, how you treat the others, what's the efforts you are making in order to become a better person, treat the others like you want the others treat you. So all these added up to the prayer at night will tell us where your spirit to go. That's my 2 cents. Okay, so let me go to the announcements here. Let me change this. Okay. And next week we will have another friend with us, Julio Senna. And the topic is, can we be influenced by spirits? Let's see. Let's see what's the Julio have to tell us. Don't forget, every other Tuesday, we have a Time to Talk show with Guilherme Dias and Rafael Caldas at 7:30 p.m. London time. Every Saturday, we do have our Medium Books course. Is a long online course at 10:30 a.m. No Solar Study Book. So it's held by Spiritist Society of London, and it's happened every other Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And Munir looks similar to you, Munir. No,
My twin brother.
picture, yeah, yeah. He holds a show every Wednesday, 4 p.m., a coffee break with Kardec. So come and see Munir, have a cup of coffee. You guys are in UK, let's have a cup of tea with Kardec as well. So we are asking your help to look after two institutions in Brazil. One is Grupo Sheila, the other one is Instituto Mutirão. If you want to donate, it go to www.kardec.org.uk/high5, and you will help these two institutions in Brazil. So, and this is it for me today. I want to say to everyone, thank you for your time. Munir, thank you for your knowledge, sharing your knowledge with us today. Thank you for all efforts to be here. I know it's still afternoon for you in Brazil, so thank you. And for my friends from France, Lithuania, and England, enjoy the heat wave. Today is a little bit rainy, so we are getting our refresh.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you all for watching us, especially the guys from Recanto da Prece in Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul, no Brasil.
Yeah.
Thank you for Luigi Barbieri, who was watching, and one day he will be here with us, I'm sure, making a good live, because he's very good, very intelligent. Beatriz Giles, Ruben de los Santos in Uruguay, and so many other people who are watching us.
Bobby
Thank
Brown
you.
from California, our dear
Robbie
Faye.
Brown. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Faye,
So, and
for the
Nadja,
questions.
welcome back,
Thank you,
my
Munir.
dear.
Thank you.
And my dear, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
you.
See
Bye.
you.
I hope we
Bye-bye.
answered the question from Faye. I hope her question was answered. Bye bye, everyone. God bless.
Bye.
God bless.
Ciao.